Had multiple opportunities to do something in this game. Nah, forget about it. I'm still not exactly sure what offensive philosophy Stephanie White's got going on. If Caitlin Clark does not, once again, I'm going to say it, if Caitlin Clark does not take over a game, they lose. And by the way, Raven Johnson should have been on the floor a hell of a lot more tonight. Plain and simple. I mean, Raven Johnson should have been on the floor more tonight than she was.
Caitlin Clark made WNBA history in the loss to the Golden State Valkyries, becoming the fastest player ever to reach 1,000 points and 500 assists in the league. She hit that milestone in just 59 games, 23 games faster than the previous record holder, Sue Bird, who needed 82. The record-breaking assist came on a clean drive and dish to Sophie, who converted the layup. It was a moment worth acknowledging regardless of the final outcome.
Raven Johnson should have been on the floor more tonight than she was. Kelsey Mitchell, yikes. Jeez, I got to tell you guys. Right here, Golden State, pretty much, you got the first quarter. They pulled ahead. Fever took over in the second quarter, barely outpaced them in the third, and then the Valkyries took the game. At the end of the game, a lot of hustle. It was
Clark's individual shooting line was rough. 3 of 12 from the field, 2 of 6 from 3. But she went a perfect 8 for 8 from the free throw line and distributed 6 assists. Her catch-and-shoot, 3-point attempts have been falling at a noticeably better rate than her step-back attempts, which have been inconsistent. A coaching staff willing to design actions specifically to get her those catch-and-shoot looks late in games would be doing something directly supported by the data. Raven Johnson was the most effective Fever player on the floor.
Took the game. At the end of the game, a lot of hustle. It was ugly. Can we stop with the Stephanie White's a defensive guru? Can we stop with this? 90 points. I mean, what are we doing? Their defense hasn't looked good this year. Their defense has not looked good this year. Can we just come out and say it? Monique Billings, that's a free agent bust. As of right now, that is a free agent bust. It did not work. It is not working.
She finished with 16 points on 7 of 10 shooting, added 4 rebounds and 2 assists, and made several plays that shifted the game's momentum in Indiana's favor before it slipped away. A steal that led directly to a fast break layup and a mid-range floater that drew particular attention were among her highlights. The case for giving Johnson heavier minutes, including in critical late-game stretches, gets stronger with each performance. Kelsey Mitchell had another difficult night, finishing with 14 points on 5 of 13, shooting across 30 minutes.
Bust. As of right now, that is a free agent bust. It did not work. It is not working. 19 minutes, 4 points, 1 of 2. Yikes. Yikes. Lexi Hull, not good tonight. Not good tonight. 5 points, 2 of 7, 23 minutes. Aaliyah Boston, 4 of 11. And if I'm going to keep it real, she's gotten to the point where at times she looks like Angel Reese up next to the basket. Let's just be honest. No sugarcoating here.
The ball-stopping habits that have drawn consistent criticism were again visible, and her overall contributions beyond scoring continues to trend downward from last season's numbers. Aaliyah Boston finished 4 of 11 for the game, and has now drawn pointed questions about whether her production matches her contract. At $6 million, The expectation is a reliable interior presence who can finish at the rim and hold her own defensively. What has shown up instead is a player who has missed makeable shots regularly, and whose overall impact has been inconsistent enough that her minutes, currently sitting around 20 to 22, may need to be redistributed.
Reese up next to the basket. Let's just be honest. No sugarcoating here. I mean, got to be more careful. Caitlin Clark, horrible from the field tonight. 16 points, 3 of 12, 2 of 6 from three-point range, 8 for 8 from free. I mean, she's killing it from the free throw line. 4 rebounds, 6 assists. Kelsey Mitchell, also not good. 30 minutes, 14 points, 5 of 13. Yikes, yikes, and more yikes. Raven Johnson.
Michaela Timms has been active on both ends when given opportunities and has made a quiet but growing argument for a larger role. On the Valkyries side, Veronica Burton put up 25 points in what felt like an understated performance. She rarely dominated any single moment but was consistently productive throughout. Gabby Williams contributed 14 points but left points at the free throw line, missing 2 consecutive attempts late that would have closed the game out earlier. Ultimately, it did not matter, as Golden State controlled the final stretch and took the win.
Yikes, yikes, and more yikes. Raven Johnson. Let's give Raven Johnson some shine tonight. 16 points, 7 of 10. 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Sophie, not great. 4 of 11, 11 points. Rough night. Michaela Timpson, let me keep it real. AB's minutes would start dropping, and Timpson's minutes would increase. No doubt about it.
The broader concern raised by the game is the Fever's inability to generate consistent transition offense and their defensive vulnerability when Clark is not personally carrying the offensive load. The Valkyries moved the ball with purpose and ran their half-court sets efficiently. Indiana, for long stretches, did not. That gap in execution, not just in talent, is what the coaching staff has yet to close.
Would increase. No doubt about it at this point. No doubt about it. And I guess Boston is secretly on a minutes restriction, 22 minutes? I don't know. Caitlin Clark became the fastest player in WNBA history to record 1,000 points and 500 assists. Games needed to reach the mark, 59 games. Wow. Number 2, Sue Bird at 82 games.
A minor post-game media situation involving Caitlin Clark following the Indiana Fever's loss to the Golden State Valkyries has been elevated into a larger controversy, primarily driven by a single journalist who made a point of publicly flagging that Clark had not made herself available for questions after the game. What the resulting discourse largely overlooked is that Clark was under no contractual obligation to speak. Under WNBA media rules, mandatory post-game availability is limited to the team's top scorer and one additional key performer designated by the team. Clark met neither of those criteria in that particular game.
Number 2, Sue Bird at 82 games. Wow. Wow. 23 games quicker. Unbelievable. Here we go, right here. This would be the play. Caitlin's got the ball, sends it out to Sophie. Sophie with the nice little lay-in. And that was the record breaker right there. Here we go.
She had already spoken to media before the game and was simply not required to do so again afterward. The situation only became a talking point because a Bay Area sports journalist covering the Valkyries repeatedly posted about her absence, contacted Team PR, and amplified the story beyond what the facts warranted. The journalist in question subsequently published a piece about the game that devoted the majority of its content to criticizing Clark's performance, and the hostile crowd had rattled her, with only a brief closing note acknowledging Golden State's strong play. The article was, by any measure, an odd editorial choice for a reporter whose primary beat is the Valkyries, a team that won the game, and it reads more naturally as the product of frustration over a failed interview attempt than as genuine sports analysis.
Caitlin Clark didn't make herself available. I tried to contact PR and they said she wasn't taking any questions. It was just one person, like, doubled and tripled down on, like, oh yeah, Caitlin's not making herself available. And then you've got a whole bunch of the media being like, oh, so much of the media is there, unless they're trying to get quotes from Caitlin to try to get viewers, because, you know, if you don't, like, if you're not getting, like, natural viewers, people aren't going to be, or natural, like, listeners or readers, you're not going to do well with sponsors, and it's your job to get the most readers possible.
The broader point being raised in Clark's defense is straightforward. She does not owe media access to people who are actively writing critical pieces about her. The relationship between Clark and the press has grown increasingly transactional, with hundreds of journalists, content creators, podcasters, and outlets having built significant audiences and revenue streams around covering her. That commercial reality does not translate into an entitlement to her time or cooperation. If she is contractually required to speak, she faces the same choice any professional does: comply or accept the consequences.
Like, listeners or readers, you're not going to do well with sponsors, and it's your job to get the most readers possible. And, you know, if you don't want to just be rage bait, there's no views. And to an extent, yeah, like, that is absolutely correct. That is absolutely correct. But anyone who made that response definitely backed the wrong horse, because I'm going to be real. Like, I'm trying. I have another channel where we talk pretty much about every other team not named Caitlin Clark, and it's...
But beyond those formal obligations, the expectation that she should willingly engage with a media environment that has turned openly hostile toward her is difficult to justify. The human context matters here as well. Clark had just played her worst game of the season, had been elbowed in the face during the game, and was in an away venue where she would have had less control over the press conference environment than she would at home. Choosing not to speak under those circumstances is a reasonable decision, not a dereliction of responsibility.
Pretty much about every other team not named Caitlin Clark, and it's not doing badly. Like, it's not doing badly, and I know these views don't seem great, but, like, it's still... Not that it's a full-time job money, but, like, it's still paying it's still probably going to pay half of my salary in May. Like, since I've been monetized. It's doing okay. It's doing okay. But the person that was out there complaining about Caitlin...
This was not even the first time Clark had skipped a post-game media session when not required to attend. It has happened before without incident. The difference this time was that one person decided to make it a public issue, and the story spread from there, which itself says more about how Clark-related content functions in the current media economy than it does about anything Clark actually did. There is a longer-term question emerging from all of this.
But the person that was out there complaining about Caitlin, essentially implying that they had some sort of entitlement to Caitlin Clark. Or on it was sorry, it wasn't. It was another dude that implied there was some sort of entitlement to Caitlin Clark, and the guy that said it just retweeted that dude at some stage, not about the entitled Caitlin Clark. But so all this discourse only for the guy to put out a hit piece. This is a person that is covering Golden State sports.
The volume of outside noise directed at Clark has grown steadily, and the pattern of coverage has become increasingly difficult to manage. Some observers have begun speculating that the Indiana Fever organization may eventually reach a point similar to decisions made around other high-profile players in the past, where they absorb whatever fines come with reduced media availability rather than continue exposing Clark to a press environment that has shown little interest in engaging with her fairly. That outcome would have real consequences for everyone who covers the league, but for Clark personally, it may ultimately be the more sustainable path.
That is covering Golden State sports, and instead of didn't get the quote they wanted. So instead of, hyping up the Valkyries crowd, like the title is talking about how basically Caitlyn isn't an all-time great yet and the crowd's got to her. And it's like, well, yeah, Caitlyn had a bad game. The crowd might have got to her. The physicality got to her. Yeah, bad game. And it's like, well, yeah, Caitlyn had a bad game. The crowd might have got to her. The physicality got to her. Yeah, bad game. But it was an article that is 2/3 basically saying Caitlin Clark sucks, and one snippet at the end being credit to the Valkyries for playing a great game and credit to their fans. This is the most basic paraphrasing of it. If you want to look at the article, I'm not even giving the guy attention because I did not know who he was until he went out of his way to make this a bigger deal, than it is. If Caitlin Clark was the top scorer. To make this a bigger deal than it is. If Caitlin Clark was the top scorer and she pulled in Alyssa Thomas and just didn't want to speak after she was contractually obliged to speak and took the fine, then okay. Caitlin Clark was not under any obligation to speak. Caitlin Clark does not owe a single member of the media any of her time. She does not owe anyone any of her time. Why? Because how many of the media, especially, and then this guy obviously pissed off, decided to write a hit piece. But she doesn't owe anyone any of her time. Why does she not owe anyone any of her time? Because let's be real, whether you are a print journalist, whether you are a video journalist, whether you are a content creator, whether you are a podcaster, whether you are a video essay person, whether you are a faceless channel person, whether you are a AI slop content creator that tweets about Caitlin Clark or that makes videos about Caitlin Clark going to Europe. There have been hundreds, if not